Whoa, so what is growing on? A well overdue update video here at the new nursery. We've been open now for almost 4 months, kind of did a soft opening. Haven't had a grand opening yet, and if you've been out here and you've seen our new military truck, I borrowed that from a friend, kind of using it as a sign. On the weekends, we do bring it out here towards the main road. We finally got some banners and some flags. I got a grader for a big shade house project we've got coming. But guys, when I bought this place, I didn't know it was going to be waterfront. We've kind of had a lot of rains finally. We had a really rough dry season. And this area last year held a lot of water. This is the lowest area of the property. Everything seems to seep out here towards the front. And I think what we're gonna end up doing is just putting a retention pond in here. I need some dirt to get it pulled out of this area, actually go over to that area and bring it up. So we'll end up landscaping around a little kind of retention pond here. It'll act as a dry pond in the, the winter months, and probably in the summer months hold a little bit of water. We'll see how that does. But guys, we still got no lack of mulch. Local tree company found me again. They have been coming in, and long-term goal is to get this pushed back over that way. Whoa, so have I mentioned to you guys recently that I absolutely hate technology? I'm about as good at just hitting the record button and shutting it off, doing a battery swap, putting a different SD card in. That's about it. Camera equipment, drone equipment has been nothing but a nightmare, it seems, the last few months. Another reason for a lack of videos. I have tried to fly the drone out here about 10 times, tried to get a code, authorization. It hasn't worked. I do have a good friend potentially coming this weekend with his drone. I think he might be able to get it up here, but DJI has been quite difficult. But before the camera gave me issues, before the gimbal gave me issues, before the battery cut out, I was telling you guys that vision has kind of changed on this property. Obviously, we've been here a while, things from the beginning to now. They move around. Not everything stays quite the same, but long-term goal is we're always going to get mulch dumped into this area. The more I thought about it, it makes the most sense when these tree guys come in, closest spot to the road. People pick up, closest spot to the road, probably keep the compost out here. We are going to have some demo gardens out here, but we're moving our way to the front kind of slow. We do know eventually, we're going to have a big expansion of Highway 41, probably going to lose about 25 foot of property. So taking that into consideration here long term. Also got a couple of big oak trees that have to come down. That live oak is dead. That water oak over there is dead. This one is in poor shape, unfortunately. But let's step into the property, show you guys some of the updates. We still got a lot of road work. If you're on a agro-tourism site, you got to have the sign, kind of warning people. There's a little bit of liability support there too, but we've been waiting on some more granite, get some base down here on the road. Right now I just have a lot of this brick and crushed concrete, which is working great, but I'd like to get it a little bit more smoothed out. It's a little rough coming in here, and I will say in dry season it was extremely dusty. Try to keep it around 5 miles an hour coming in on these roads. But guys, it was like the Sahara. My place was dried up. In the last week, it looks night and day. It's just amazing to me. You drive around Florida, everything is just brown. All the grass is brown. And then we get this rain, and within like a day, everything is just green. It really changes quite quick. Hopefully we don't get as dry as a dry season going forward. But guys, that's an exciting new addition. I've had the chickens here for at least 2 months. We've got a new girl in the nursery, Misty, who's the chicken ninja. She kind of takes care of them. We've got some more chickens I'll show you in a moment over there in the center, but we got the goose over here. We've got the chickens over here. Still kind of playing with this whole front understory area. I do think I'm going to start planting some bamboo along the backside of these trees, creating a thicker buffer all the way down along the front. But let's say hello to the chickens. Mr. What is this? Drill bit? What's up, dude? Just put these guys in this area. We have had, knock on wood, no predator pressure. We are definitely running the electric fence here every night. But Mr. Rooster and the old hens from the house have been brought over here. And of course, everybody mows Mr. Drill Bit. And the goal is to kind of move them across this shaded area. So they've been in here for a couple weeks. Yeah, he's still quite aggressive. Move it over, kind of just rotate them through this front area. Something really interesting, and I was talking about, Now having waterfront property, putting a pond, retention ditch in over there on the other side of the driveway. Through that entire dry season, which is typically March, April, May, into June down here in Florida, this whole place was dried up. Everything was brown, except for this area around the pine tree. You know, that's typical if you have a septic, but we don't have a septic over here in this area. I don't know what's going on, if this area just holds a little bit more water. It's just a moist spot. Maybe it's a good spot to dig a pond, but I'm keeping an eye on it. I want to have a second pond in here eventually. So interesting area on the property. It is a little bit of a low area. And I was just talking about dead trees, and there's probably 3 dead pines. That one's actually dead all the way to the top. Could leave it as a snag, but with wanting to plant stuff under here, we'll take it out. And I've got at least 2 more dead pines over there. But let's step into the property, guys. There's been a ton of changes here. Like I said, did a soft opening. We haven't had a grand opening yet. This 1-year-old bamboo is doing great filling in. This is one of our parking areas. And all the way down the fence line, we've planted iron clay cowpea, kind of just as a cover crop in there to keep the weeds at bay while the bamboo is establishing. And there's some other interesting stuff kind of planted in over that way. We are still working on getting this place set up. It has been a work in progress, to say the least. Working on parking signs and plant signs and tags, you guys name it. We're trying to make things more comfortable around here, give you that park-like feeling. I've just brought in about 12 of these benches. We've got them throughout the property. We do have some coconuts here, even though we're not supposed to be growing coconuts in the area. My clients that are on the coast, my clients that are in Tampa, St. Pete, jobs further south, we use them on. They're quite aesthetic. The goal is to sell them here by fall, get them out of here by the winter time. We're not supposed to be growing coconuts in this area. Japoticaba is no problem, and as far as the shade area goes, this is probably what we'd call like a giant Japoticaba zone, at least on this far side. Going over here to the other side of the road, we do still have this ugly portalet, but one of the main things that I have been waiting on for a grand opening was some better bathrooms. Just got them put in a couple of weeks ago. I am going to call and get that portalet taken out of here. We had an event for Jim, had a grafting event. It was kind of busy. It was nice to have the backup bathroom, but I'd love to get that thing out of here. This side of the farm over here is all drip. So we've got about 9 or 10 zones of drip with bamboo, mangoes, avocados, olives, loquats, cherry of the Rio Grande. Lots of things that just don't like that overhead water. Got some eucalyptus in here, and then these are those other chickens I was telling you about. Oh, there's another one of those park benches. Oh, pretty cool. And then we've got some more Americanas. I think we got another 15 birds hanging out. So the chicken ninja runs out of the office over here. I should probably take you guys in the office and show you what's going on. Of course, we still have a lot of these tortoise areas. Trying to leave these as native as possible. And what's quite interesting is you leave them alone and some of these native grasses start to come up. We've got some native bee balms starting to come up. Lots of blackberries, beautyberry, things like that. And we want to plant some other things for the tortoises to eat. And once again, oh, whoa, what are you carrying in outside over there? So guys, towards the end of the week, we always have cold coconuts. Once again, can't grow coconuts here, but we have them for drinking purposes. Nature's bottled water, they're quite amazing. Nothing better to cool you off than a coconut on a cool day out here. Everything over here to this south side is all full sun. And most of these, most of the items in this area are either tropical or go deciduous in the wintertime. And this is the area when you're out here on a hot day, you don't want to spend a bunch of time out here. You want to get what you want, get out of this zone, get off the black mat. And the idea is to kind of get back over to this side and get a little bit of that salvation in the shade nursery. Got some more of the benches. Guys, we've been bagging our own potting amendments. We've got biochar, we've got potting soil, we've got compost, got a whole native zone over here. I did bring one of my showstopper Japoticabas from the farm, just so we had an example with some fruit on it all the time. And we're still working. Nothing's completely done in here yet. And guys, I can't take any credit for any of this other than the irrigation, the mat, maybe some of the demo gardens, but otherwise I brought the plants over, I brought the pallets over, I brought the bricks over, and I kind of let Katerina go to town. She is a nursery, a plant angel. She made all of this look beautiful. Done a really great job here. These are some of our native zones. Lots of herbs, perennial vegetables. We keep our carambola over here. Keep our gingers in this area. Jackfruits, miracle fruit, peanut butter fruit. You name it. Anything that could take dappled light is kind of in this back zone. Had the film guy here, Robbie, earlier. Got you guys a ton of B-roll. Working on getting you some of that drone footage. I'm not going to sit here and walk around this entire place today. I wanted to get you just kind of a quick overview, catch you up on what's going on here. But Shade Nursery looks awesome. And we've had some big changes. Want to fill you in on what we're doing differently. And I guess I could show you my bathroom really quick. This has been quite exciting. And then when we finish drinking those coconuts, we bring them over and we've been using them to line the bed. Been working on some of these paths in here. In the demo garden areas, we have a little storage building. And guys, when you come, hopefully by the time this video gets out, we're gonna have a what's growing on picture station here on the back side of the shipping container, and I am putting another shipping container up front, which will be like the pound dirt container. So when you come, take a picture in front of that, tag me, I'll share it. I picked up these bathrooms. These are really cool. Way better than a portalet in my opinion. Portalets are absolutely terrible. Right now I'm just using a 1,000-gallon holding tank. I've only had to empty it once and it's been here for about 4 months, but we've got 2 bathrooms tied into a holding tank. Long-term goal obviously to get a septic system in. But this to me was a step ahead of the portalet. I'm kind of proud of these if I'm showing them off, guys. So full fan lighting, pretty cool. Way better than a portalet. Long term, we do have goals of getting bigger bathrooms in, employee bathrooms in the back, things like that. But for now, we've got something better than a portalet. So I have been dying to show you guys that. Something interesting, different, something that I would not typically do. I'm selling some citrus. Had a ton of people request citrus since the day we opened. Got to talking with my ag inspector that comes out here from IFAS. I was like, hey, I got a ton of requests for citrus. Try to say it the proper way sometimes. Where would you suggest I go? And he suggested a grower out here in East Pasco who does it like no other. He said he has a really clean nursery, no pest issues when he goes there. Doesn't see a lot of, hasn't seen canker and greening there. And this particular grower actually grows the rootstocks in the ground and grafts them in the ground. It's kind of an old style way of doing it. Been buying them in 1 gallons, been keeping them under the oak trees here. We basically cover that irrigation head at least 3 nights of the week. These guys don't like a ton of water, but carrying about 10 varieties of citrus. Once again, guys, when we're planting them for the clients, we're planting them under the oak trees. I think that they like dappled light a lot better. Obviously, when we're keeping them here in the nursery setting, we're keeping them in the dappled light also. It seems like where they want to be. So this is huge. You guys haven't seen this yet. We've had this property for obviously coming on just over 2 years, and tractor's been sitting outside, equipment's been sitting outside. This is huge. Place to put the tractor out of the rain, place for the girls for potting, place for amendments and supplies and so on to be out of the rain, the weather. That's kind of a big deal. This is probably one of the most exciting things I've had happen here yet. And I'm gonna go back to this windbreak again while I'm here looking at it. We've got 4 or 5 different varieties of bamboo. All of these were done through propagation and cuttings all the way down the whole back fence line, going up to the north and going all the way over to the west. And I had a section where I ran out of bamboo. We ended up putting the dwarf sweet almond. We still have the iron clay cowpea in here. But what's really interesting is the girls in the nursery got a hold of a bunch of calabazas, and you can kind of see some right there. I've been seeing them all over this whole place. I don't know where they tucked them in. And then yesterday I'm walking through here and I'm like, what is that? Is that a weed? And I see that right there again. I'm like, is that a weed? I'm like, nope. Katerina is taking every little plug of moisture around this place, and we're planting corn. We're planting calabazas. There's another one of the corns. There's another one of the corns, and just kind of filling gaps here along the back. We'll see how they do. Thought it was an interesting experiment, but yes, I didn't plant it, but we have some corn coming here on the back windbreak. I think that's pretty awesome. All right, so we got a 40 by 86 pole barn put in just now. Actually, I have a good friend over here working on some power. We're trying to get some plugs in for a few of these electric golf carts, eventually get some fans and some lighting underneath here. You guys can see all over this property, I have worked with the tortoises, worked around the tortoises. We have tons of burrows and holes around the property. There's probably about 15 still. One or two I think they vacated, but for the most part they're all still here. Mimosa julibrescens, the flowers on this smell amazing. This is a class 1 invasive. A lot of people don't like it, but it is an awesome nitrogen fixer, and I never realized how odorific it was, how much of a perfume-ish type smell it has. I mean, it kind of gives a competition to the sweet almond over here on this side. Pretty unbelievable. Flowers on it are unbelievable, but the scent is just something else. You can smell it from across the property. Puts off a really, really nice fragrance. You can really see the calabaza, cowpea kind of cluster I was talking about. And over here, I actually had a gap where I had to replace some graceful bamboos. You see cowpea, this isn't quite as developed. Calabaza, so it's coming together. Compost, potting mix, bulk biochar. Guys, I finally got a relationship with a killer biochar company out of Georgia, Wakefield, certified organic. I've tried a lot of different companies, a lot of different products, and by far, this is the highest quality biochar I've been able to get my hands on. I think I just got 22 totes here about 2 or 3 weeks ago, probably down to about 12, but we're always gonna try to keep this stuff in stock. 1 yard sacks, 2 yard super sacks, and then bags. So we've been bagging it into sandbag style bags so you can take them home for your garden, your food forest, whatever it may be. Eventually we probably want to put some rock under here, but we got the potting table set up under here now. Keep the machines under here, obviously. Lawnmower, unfortunately, still have one of those. But guys, the big changes out here is this field. I'm sure you remember the giant windrows, the mulch, the compost. Long-term goals here when I first got the property of potentially doing tissue culture. A lot of things have changed. A lot of things have changed since I initially bought the property. I originally had we'll just kind of barely touch on this, but a little bit of a backer investor that wanted to help with this whole project that kind of backed out on us as soon as we signed papers and closed on the property. So things have changed. We still are going to do a ton of propagation. We're still focusing on grafting. Definitely not investing into the tissue culture yet like we had talked about, but we are putting a giant shade house in, and the goal is to start doing a lot of these things, guys, that I have to drive across the state to buy. I'm tired of buying grafted loquats. They're almost impossible to find. Star fruit, avocados, Suriname cherries, and mulberries. So we've started, I think, 500 or 1,000 of each of those rootstocks for this year. Next year we're going to shoot 5,000 of each of those rootstocks and just bring more and more of that stuff back in-house. So I dug a giant hole over there, and I'll walk over there in a second, and I needed about, let's just say, I don't even know, 800 yards of fill dirt here. I priced it was like $14,000 to get the dump trucks of just plain dirt brought in. I spent $5,000 on that plot over there by the fence, which we'll talk about that in a second. That was originally going to be market garden. That stuff came with trash inside of it. It was just garbage fill dirt. For this one, I said I'm not buying that stuff again. I dug a giant hole. I actually got rid of a big chunk of this mulch, and I say got rid of, it's not like a waste product, but we just have so much of it. All I have to do is open the gate. I can get 500 yards a week. It's not a big deal to keep the mulch coming in. So I stole all this material over a 2-week period, maybe 2 days, out of that hole, raised this up 6 inches over here, guys. And this is going to be a 120 by 120 shade house, 14 foot tall, 12-foot road down the center. Everything on the north side is going to be like Chapotacaba land. Have all of our mother trees in there growing out, whether it's for seed, for propagation, for wine. Stay tuned. And then the south side will be all of our propagation. We'll have a double layer in the shade house where I'll do all of our grafted trees, all of our cuttings. So that'll be kind of Catarina side. This will be kind of Chapotacaba side. So stay tuned. Lots of exciting stuff coming. We always have organic compost. We always have our special blended potting mix and the tortoise there behind it in stock. And I was kind of just starting to talk about this, and I kind of got off of a subject, but as far as the shade house goes and the material I put here, guys, we're trying to crown this. So the last thing I want is to put a 16,000 square foot shade house in, with trees on drip that requires water. That's a pond. The last thing I want to do is come in there and water always be sitting in there. I've learned the hard way from building nurseries over the years. I wanted to make sure that when we do this, we're going to crown this like a roof, so where we're 6-7 inches here in the center. maybe 4 inches, 3 inches at the edge, so that water is always coming off of this area. So once I get the grader, a grader which belongs to a friend you saw out front out here, we're gonna grade this entire site, we're gonna get the laser level out, then we're gonna cover it in some millings, we're gonna roll it, then we're gonna black weed mat it, then we're gonna put up the shade house, then we're gonna put up the table, then we're gonna put in the irrigation, then we're gonna add the plants. So it is all a work in progress, and it all takes time and it all takes money. So one step at a time. This is some really well broken down, I would say tree mulch, but this is more stump grindings that we selectively kept in this pile. And the goal for a lot of these big piles is, guys, to bring a sifter in and make my own compost. I'm kind of tired of buying it. You know, we have enough here on site to where once we, you know, keep these piles turned, break them down, we can bring them in, we can sift them, and we'll have our own compost. So that'll be really exciting. There's another tortoise hole. These guys are all over here, living symbiotically. Unfortunately, I did have to lose 2 more water oaks that were running really close to this corner pin. And there's some stuff to move here still. This is still kind of rough. But these guys are gonna come up from Homestead, said it takes them about 3 days. And when I was down in Homestead, really got to talking to a lot of these growers, you don't see a lot of greenhouses down there anymore. They are moving towards shade houses because they're more hurricane proof. You know, they're a lot easier to recover. These are going up with telephone poles, so they're way more heavy duty. It's not like a big piece of metal with plastic. It's gonna end up in a ball if we have a hurricane. Worst case scenario, I've got some shade cloth that gets ripped or damaged, you know, in a hurricane type situation. So that's why we're moving towards a shade house, although we are still gonna have a small greenhouse cover over here for kind of more delicate things. So that is coming. Our old shade house, we're gonna move all the jabos out of. It's gonna come here, and that will become propagation house at the old property. Guys, this is that Area 51. Pretend you didn't see this. We're keeping some of our pots, our sandbags, our base material, the auger, things like that we don't want to see every day. But we've kind of got a big nursery zone in here in the back, or a big jabo zone, more dappled light type area. Got a lot of reds and scarlets and so on throughout the space. This is very new, maybe just finished this a couple of weeks ago. And the only reason that I haven't planted anything out, the only reason that mat over there is empty, the only reason I'm slowing down on a lot of things, guys, we only have 1 well on the property. That well is all the way out there by the main road. I can only put so much pressure on that well. While we were in dry season, I got quite concerned because we're running the well right now for 6-7 hours a day, and I just didn't want to overpull the well, dry the well out. So we are waiting on another well. That is our next big capital investment here, is another 4-inch well, 260 foot deep, 5 horse motor with 90 psi. So right now I'm running a 3 horse with about 55 GPM. I'll be able to get that up to 85, 90 with the 5 horse. That's a little bit deeper. So that is really exciting. But just a couple weeks ago, this was all just plants in the grass. You know, start bringing stuff over here. Katarina finds she needs more nursery space. Before you know it, stuff's laying here. We're spending 3 hours a day hand watering. I said, this has to stop. We got it covered mat. We got some irrigation down. We're also finally getting that afternoon rain, which is a big difference. I guess I should touch on this real quick. Original proposed market garden space is going to turn into a syntropic area, agroforestry zone. We're going to put the bamboo along the fence over there, kind of creating some more privacy for the neighbor, and really do production stuff here. Namwa bananas, sugarcane, you know, anything that I could put into a little juice stand, a little cheeky hut, create smoothies, value-added products that stay here on the farm. Really want to hopefully host a farmer's market here in fall. It's something I've been kind of throwing around the idea of too, but lots of events. You know, we've been giving out bananas every week. We've been giving out chipotle cabas so people can try this stuff. I'd like to be able to have more on hand, whether that's, you know, fresh sugarcane juice, more bananas, sell the bananas. I mean, who knows? But this would be more of a production agroforestry area. We've cover cropped this with cowpea. Finally, it's coming in really good. It was a little thin over by the fence and a little thin on the edges. And I think I'm gonna come in and do the bamboo and maybe 1 line here in the next month or so. That'll probably be it for this year. Did I mention I hate technology? It died again. Future cheeky hut spot. That's kind of the dream. That's the goal. We'll see if we stick with it. You know, that's the cool thing about not putting everything in the ground right away. Not putting, you know, we put these plans on paper, but things change all the time. You know, we're originally I wanted to have the food forest areas in first, and I'm really glad I didn't rush it because those ideas and those areas have changed. Like I was just talking about, you know, crowning this whole thing. What happens when we crown it? Puts all the water to the outside edges. Well, there we go. There's a great area to add food forest all the way along the side of the building. So we want a landscape around the shade house. You know, not just have a plain black shade house sitting here in the middle of the field. Kind of have a barren area. Not sure what we're going to do. We do need an area for compost. We do need an area for our potting mix. And we're probably going to end up putting a concrete bin in the back corner for the potting mix. They're going to move compost out to the front road. This way it's really close to the mulch. And the front demo gardens, which will probably happen last. Like I had mentioned, this is not going to be market garden. This is moving towards more nursery space. This has been like this for about a month or two. The only reason I haven't turned this on yet is because of the lack of water. The goal in this area is going to be most of our propagation bamboos. So a lot of these bamboos I have planted at my house, planted out here. We can dig them out of the ground. We can cut them up. We can propagate them and start doing more of that stuff in-house. So those are done rhizomally, typically with a sawzall, quite labor intensive. But this isn't going to be a market garden. Just going to touch on it briefly, but things didn't quite work out with Nick. Dick kind of moved on to his own thing in Crystal River. We are going to have some market garden stuff here, but much smaller scale. Same thing with the house, maybe keeping it at the scale it was at last year, but not growing it unless somebody comes along that's a market garden expert and really wants to spearhead that. But not a lot of time, more focused on the agroforestry and the food forest stuff around here. Still have our kind of fire pit area back here. Haven't burned that in a while. We've been in dry season. You know, I have a couple of tortoise burrows. I have one there, I have one there, one in there, one on the other side, one over here. This whole corner, it's probably never going to get developed. You know, we might add some things for the tortoises, but otherwise, you know, this is probably not going to become a very developed area on the property. I talked about just stealing about 800 yards of dirt. Guys, I had a friend, shout out to my buddy Jimmy, brought over his, well, he's got that grader out front, brought over his 544 John Deere, and he helped me dig this hole out. I started it with my yellow machine. You couldn't even see a loader in here. This was about 18 foot deep on that end. This was a massive hole. This is world's largest banana pit, maybe. Potentially going to plant some nematode susceptible things in here. Maybe some bananas, maybe some sugar cane. I know mulberries and figs would probably want to be in this. We'll see. Really overkill, good soil, but I needed the soil. I had too much mulch. That's what we did with that hole. So, and that's what's really going on with some of these piles. Just kind of staging them here for food forest areas, letting them break down. Just ran out of space really out in this field and in the whole preparation and getting it ready for the shade house and moving everything out of the way. We do have some zones in here along the back of the shade house, and when we do the landscaping along the back, water is actually already in place, ready to go. And like I was mentioning, almost right here, right about dead center, there's going to be a 12-foot road where you could drive a box truck in for loading. We can drive the golf carts, the tractor through, and it's just going to allow us access to this back side of the property, kind of getting back into this area. This is where I was talking a second ago before my my gimbal died. So cameras died twice, gimbals died once, drone won't go up. Over that technology, guys, I really want to get back into making more videos. Robbie's in town today, helped me with some B-roll and some more filming, but I'd like to even almost get like a full-time film person that's here at the nursery every day. We're constantly putting out content, maybe even another face personality here for the channel. I'd like this thing to kind of long-term go beyond Pete. That was the whole idea with GreenDreams TV. Another face, another personality, more traveling. So just kind of putting those feelers out there. Stay tuned. Got a little bit to talk about over there, but we're about wrapped up. All right, guys, so new nursery is finally opened. Thank you to my amazing staff, employees. Obviously, I couldn't have done all this on my own. Thank you to all of our amazing customers, supporters, people that have already been out. We've had a lot of people come out to visit, to see the new nursery. You guys are awesome. Right now, we're open Tuesdays through Fridays, 9 to 5, Saturdays, 8 to 3. I try to be here at least 2 days a week. I can't guarantee which days. Always try to make Saturdays, and it's usually one other day during the week. But guys, going forward, I'm gonna still do a couple of select big projects around the state of Florida, bigger jobs every year, but ideally, Pete wants to spend more time here at the new nursery, at the new farm. I'd like to be here 3-4 days a week. I don't wanna be doing as many traveling projects. So with that being said, I'd like to do more work around the Tampa Bay area, closer to home, keep the install team here. You know, more work in Tampa, Pinellas, Pasco. I've done more work in Pasco the last 3 months than I've done the last 10 years. So it's kind of positive. Hopefully it kind of keeps that way. More local small jobs. I think, you know, rather than doing these big multi-acre projects, which are a blast, I love looking back at it. I still want to do some of. I want to do a bunch of small projects. I want to do a bunch of little backyards. I want to be able to send the guys out and they have a job done by, you know, start on Monday, they're done by Tuesday, start one on Wednesday, they're done by Thursday. You know, that 4-day work week, we can do 2 little jobs in a week instead of doing 1 job every 3 weeks. And also that whole just traveling. I'm trying to design my life in a way to where I'm here more. I'm here on the property more, here on the nursery. This is where I like to be. This is where I want to be. So standing in front of our really cool shade areas, another one with a bench, kind of just another salvation spot. Eventually add some passion fruit, bananas, star fruit, shade tolerant species in this area. And the whole goal here is just kind of like done like I've done at my place. Plant the whole place out to where you have a demonstration garden, these edible, you know, demos throughout the entire property, and then everything on hand. So we have this one-stop food forest shop. Whether you're coming for natives, bamboo, perennials, fruit trees, we've got it. So stay tuned. There's a lot in the works, guys. I can't wait. 2024 has been exciting. I am working on a grand opening. Probably going to be in fall. There's no rush for that. I'm probably going to get the Chamber of Commerce involved. I'll do a little bit of a ribbon cutting. So coming here, going into fall, I'll probably have some big events too. Stay tuned. Talking about a PDC, talking about a meet and greet with Rhodes around Christmas, talking about bringing the Agroforestry Academy guys here. And obviously I want to get back into traveling a little bit too. Even though I said I don't want to do as much traveling for work, I would love to go back to Costa Rica, go up to Maine to see Jim, you know, just plan those 2 or 3 trips to look forward to every year or so. Stay tuned, guys. It is 2024. If you haven't started a garden, get out there and pound some dirt. Start a food forest. Most importantly, if you haven't seen me at the nursery, come out and say hello. Come out and say what's up. Get out there and pound some dirt.